Shawty want a thug in the club. This is so whack. Bring it back. It's all about appearances, ain't it? Whack, lack, slack, facts. In the back, I walk in, everybody looking at me, especially you. Caught your attention as I always do. Bottoms up for you. Now you gotta drown your sorrows, thinking about tomorrow. How many drinks would it take you to leave with me? Right, don't need any. When you see me, wanna leave instantly, but you can't. Got a rep to protect, ain't that right? Drink more, drown it out, that's what this for. Maybe this will comfort me, the way she does her essence. Evidence of a divine presence, and they tryna just buy her presence. They looking at her, I feel like I gotta protect my rep, but I also know that I gotta protect her. She straight, bottoms up, while you babysit, looking like she's everything, cause I am. When I walk in, his light shining bright, they staring, star, I am used to this, I'm true to this.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to KF&JF podcast. I tell you, today, as we talk, all the time when we start this show and we get ourselves ready for what we get ready to do, sometimes it's just, depends on the people that we have on. And today, I tell you, we have somebody on our show that has an array of knowledge and experience that she's going to bring to the show today to our listeners. And I really hope you guys just take it in and learn something from her, because she's definitely have put herself in a position to succeed. And what we want to know is how she's done that. How did she bring all of those things in her life together to be able to succeed in so many different areas? And, also, I want to thank all of you guys for being out there and listening and coming to the show and subscribing and going to the joybeloved.com, website and making those purchases that helps us to be able to bring people like we have on today. And I think that that's such an important part, and I thank you for that. So again, we want to make sure that everybody out there is in tune to the podcast, because the people we bring on is very much trying to show us something, and we need to pay attention. So you know what? Razak is trying to show us something too. So let's hear what Razak is doing out there, and let's get back on this podcast show.
Greetings. My name is Razak. I am the CEO and founder of United Minority Business Ventures. My purpose is to help small businesses grow. This means I will assist with the creative process and maintenance of your business. The method to achieve results is simply building a deeper relationship with your customers. I do this by forming opportunities to communicate and collaborate with your followers, subscribers, and other business owners. By using a wide range of networking tools, we will have an understanding for building your business profile, what type of social media marketing fits your productivity and your availability, and building your financial profile, branding your services, product, or merchandise. Together, we may also determine what type of license is needed to operate your business. And does your budget permit the ownership of your own domain or buying into pre-existing sites that host your page? I like to drive traffic by managing your website. This allows me to work with you to select posts that create subscriptions, comments, and likes. I also assist by generating comments on other individual business sites or a page that create a dialogue of conversation directed towards your page. I also assist with the creation of the content on your media site. This will be a collaboration of ideas which will reflect on your brand, your work ethics, and the community's need to know what you have to offer them to bring a better quality of comfort to their lives and lifestyle. I can also assist with the writing of content, directing your videos, the editing process, and publishing them on various sites for marketing purposes, advertising, and promotional value.
Well, yeah, man, thank you for that. I'm sorry about that. I just want to say that, as we do these shows and we think about all of the people that we've interviewed over the, year or so that we've been doing this, we want to thank Razak for all of the work that he's doing out there and bringing these people together. And it's an important part of the podcast. So we really do appreciate what he's doing out there. But as we talked about, and we're trying to get to this person here that have all this knowledge. Let's, ladies and gentlemen, she's going to introduce herself right now.
Hello, everyone. My name is TIMAIAH, and I am the CEO of MAHONEMADE. So MAHONEMADE is a premium baked good business that was actually founded by my mother, and it became a family business. It's actually a growing family business, and it's something that I'm just so excited to partner with my family to do. And I think that it's the perfect example of like-minded people coming together and building an empire for the greater good of their community and for their family. And so that's what MAHONEMADE truly means at its core. And it's just been an honor to really be in the infancy stages of building a business. So I'm so happy to be here to talk with you guys, share any knowledge that I do have, but also begin to build our community by speaking with you all. So thank you.
No, really,
Good.
thank you, thank you. You know, we really do appreciate you coming on to the podcast and giving us that knowledge. And so, what I like to start off with, and this kind of one of those questions, just to kind of loosen things up a little bit. Tell us something unique about you, something about you that you know not everybody knows, and that's something that you can share with our listeners.
Okay, good question. I would say what's unique is honestly my background. It is very diverse in the sense that I truly view myself as a vessel. And in doing that, I don't necessarily tie myself to the things that I do, but I look for ways that I can be used. In ways that my gifts can be used for the greater good. So in that, I do quite a few things that seem drastically different, but in all the things I do, it is the same thing: being a vessel, being a messenger. And what those things include are: I am an attorney. I'm also a musician, and I also do create content. So I think those are things that a lot of people don't necessarily know about me, because I am here talking about our family premium homemade good business. But it's just a testament to the fact that I use the things that God has given me to make more things and to bear fruit. And so that's, I guess, things that people don't know, because I do a lot of things.
Well, ain't that something?
Multi-talented.
Multitasking and doing everything, and you know, as a you know, us being men and all that, we're so proud to see our black women out there, you know, pounding the pavement as far as gaining knowledge and using knowledge, right? And being able to better themselves and show that they can. Because one of the biggest things about, you know, or stigmas about, you know, the black woman is that, oh, you know, they have, you know, they these issues or whatever. But the young kids need to see this. You know, the kids that are out there need to be able to see people like you that are out there, young, strong, and you know, and proud to be out there doing what you're doing. So tell me a little bit about how did you and your family or your mom get into this business, and who was the brainstorm behind it?
That is a really good question. So my mom has always been blessed to be an amazing chef. She is truly anointed. She can make anything from scratch, and it's just great things. And it's so interesting because I've always known that my mom was so great at this. And I went to law school and business school simultaneously. And in that, I knew that I was going to start a family business, but it wasn't going to be something that was about me. It was going to be us coming together and all utilizing our different gifts to make the business what it needs to be. And so I took a sabbatical, so I'm presently partially still on sabbatical, but during my sabbatical, I spent a lot of time with my mom, and it was just a time for me to truly come into my womanhood and really understand being in the kitchen and truly seeing making food as a service and really taking care of your family. And I just learned so much from my mom in doing that. And the things that she made were just so, it's like food that was just good for your soul. And it was just such a beautiful thing to, first of all, witness her doing it. But I also knew that this was something that other people deserved to have access to. And so the name Mahone, it's my mom's last name, and the patriarch in my family, her father, who passed away, and she got a lot of her cooking skills passed down to her from her father and from her father's side of the family. And so we just finally took a chance, and it was really as though like that sabbatical season really allowed for me to, first of all, speak life into my mom and just let her know, like, you are gifted to do this, and it's more than just you gifted to feed your family. It's you're gifted to feed nations with your food, because this is a gift that was given to you. And who are you to deprive people of the gift that God has given you? And so I started many businesses in my life that were about me and that were centered around things that I was doing. But it was such an honor to use my law school and business school knowledge to be able to help my mom and to be currently helping my mom build her own business, but truly a family business, because it's also my aunt, who's her sister, who's a part of it, my cousins, and it's just been a really great opportunity for our family to come together and build something that will hopefully be a legacy that we can pass down to further generations.
You know,
All
that is just that's powerful because you know, I mean, everything you just said is just like it's like what's been drilled into me and my sisters and my family is, you know, is taking that responsibility on, you know, like trying to figure out how to bring the family together and how we can do things together because most of us in our community, we're not used to that. I'll be honest, you know, and say it this way, you know, there's a lot of other communities that that do that all day long. They got the
Yes.
Mexican community, they got the Asian community, they got a lot of those communities that's what they strive on doing. But in our community, it's something that we have to continue to try to, you know, put together. And sometimes it doesn't always work. So when you're talking about her sister and you know you and the kids and everybody putting that together, and you wanted to do something outside of you, I mean that is some powerful stuff. And I really do appreciate you making that point. So tell me a little bit about, before I pass this over to Razak, about your mom. Tell us a little bit about how you see her outside of the food.
So I would say my mom is truly someone who she doesn't run to the spotlight. And it's so interesting because it's like the light is on her regardless of if she runs to it or not. And I think that what is so interesting is we like I am who I am because my mom is who she was. I wouldn't be the woman who I am if my mom didn't make the sacrifices that she made for me to be in the positions that I am in now. And it's just so interesting because I think because of the generations that were ahead of us, they might not have had that coddling or that nurturing that truly can cause you to speak into yourself and be confident in your abilities that God has given you. And so I think it's just really beautiful how God birthed me through this woman, but has used me as a vessel to speak life into my mom and just remind her of who she is. Because to be honest, a lot of people will say, my mom makes the best this. And I'm going to say this, like, I will go to war against anybody to see whose mom makes the best food. There's not a person on the planet who I think can hold a candle to my mom. And it's not even in a state of vanity. It's just like, I have so much honor in her ability to make these great foods. And it's like, she makes the greatest desserts, the greatest meals, and it's made with love and you feel it. And I think that it's just an honor to, first of all, play a role in helping her business, because in reality, like, I am the CEO of the company, but she founded this. This is founded, the seeds were planted by her doing the work, her being a vessel, her making food for her family, for her friends, and truly being that person who is bringing people together with her food. Food brings us together, and she's great at that. And so I think even just outside of this, my mom is truly a light. And I feel like this is just an honor for me to be able to honestly pay her back in any way that I can, even if it's just with my labor, me making the logos, me doing the research and doing whatever it is that I can, using whatever knowledge or acumen I can to help her dreams become a reality. Because at the end of the day, CEO or not, the CEO can get fired by the founder. And this is her company that she's building. And I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Okay.
Man, I really say to you, I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you. You
Oh,
know,
thanks.
just listening to you in the first 5 minutes of this show, I'm just proud of you, and I really do think that you will be, you know, everything that you want to be because you got all of the things and all of the lessons that we try to teach our kids, being a little older than you, and what my mom and all of that. You just seem to pour that out in your the way you talk. So I'm going to pass it over to Razak and have him build on this.
Okay. You're well spoken. I mean,
Thanks.
You're speaking like you, give your mom these props at all the times. I mean, you're really well versed in delivering how you feel about her and how she influences you. Okay, so we know about your mom and how she got the company together. I guess. Well, what inspires you yourself to pursue the career in the food industry?
That is a really good question because I don't even think I've ever viewed it as me doing that. So honestly, that's a great question. And I would say it would bring me back to my original point of being a vessel. I do believe that there will be multiple bread that I cast upon the waters, that there will be multiple avenues in which I'm used as a vessel to make a difference and to also bring wealth to my family, but also bring change to the community and just be used. And so when it comes to food, I don't think that that was something that was ever like a predominant thought on my mind. It was more so, how can I bring into realization something that somebody who's intimately connected to me is already great at, which happens to be food. The interesting thing is I've always viewed myself to be a servant. And so growing up, my dream job, I used to always say this, and it was true. My dream job was to be a waitress or to be a server because I just wanted to. And so I ended up not getting the opportunity, but instead I worked at a fast food restaurant to pay for my LSAT prep course, which is a course you have to take to get into law school. And so I worked at a restaurant. I won't give them any clout here, but I did work at a restaurant that's in the Southern California area, and it was my first time working around food, but I was able to be a servant. And I will say, till this day, my hardest job I've ever had was actually working at that restaurant, trying to multitask and do drive through and talk with customers. It was a actually very difficult job, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But when I think about food, it's something that, first of all, is a necessity. It's something that we all need in order to sustain ourselves, in order to remain alive. But what I definitely love is the fact that we're in a season where food is not that good. Like, you might go to restaurants that used to be amazing, and now you go there, the service is 0 out of 10, the food is lackluster. And so I think that I'm very big about infiltrating spaces and disrupting spaces that are not being held to the standard that they should be. And so I think when it comes to the food industry, that's something that I'm eager to do, especially knowing like my mom, like, she stands next to none when it comes to the food that she makes. So I'm just interested to enter that space and find ways that we can do it our way, but also truly set a new standard.
Right, right. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Empowerment right there, huh? Okay, empower everything. Give us a. We're gonna get to all that stuff you was just saying, but real briefly, give us a rundown on what type of lawyer you are, and what is you say you do content creating. What type of, give yourself the plug.
Correct.
Where's it?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So I am a civil litigator, and I do civil litigation, for lack of a better word. Now, I have experience in multiple areas of law. So civil rights, police misconduct, police brutality, that goes under that umbrella, as well as personal injury, catastrophic injury, some employment, some entertainment. But traditionally, I do civil law. And so although I am a lawyer, I'm not you guys' lawyer who's watching. So I want to say I'm not giving any legal advice, but I do civil litigation, and I do also have some experience in criminal, but primarily I do civil litigation. So I sue people, companies, people.
Some people. Yeah, some people. Okay, and the content that you create.
Yes, and that's a great question. So in terms of the content that I create, I actually began creating content to help underserved communities get into law school. And so I was a first generation college student, first generation law student. And during my process of getting into law school, it was very expensive. It was something that I just never expected to be so expensive. And so I worked at a fast food restaurant to pay for my prep course, to take the test to get into law school. And in that process, I also did something called self-studying, where I taught myself the material of the LSAT so that I could be able to take this test to get into law school. And so what happened during that journey is I came across a bunch of different resources that were free resources that were helpful to me. And so once I got accepted into law school, I began to create content on YouTube, just showing people what these free resources are and helping other students get into law school. And then from there, I just began documenting my entire journey. So I documented my entire law school and business school journey from the first day to the very last day. And that was a 4-year process. And so all of those videos still remain on YouTube. If you type in TIMAIAH, you'll find those videos on YouTube. But it was just a very high honor. And it was honestly an assignment. And it was another way in which I was used as a vessel, because I truly didn't call myself to law. My background is in media. My background is in broadcast media, television, radio. And so when I got the assignment to do law, it was a blessing that I was able to get into content creation, because it helped me, first of all, stay in law school, because law school is difficult. It's a challenge. It's boring. It's a lot. But in me documenting my journey and showing it, I was able to use the gifts that were given to me to be a gift to others and show people something that I've never seen before, which is a young Black woman going through the law school experience. And so that was the content I created. And now I'm in the season of showing my content, creating content that is about just me truly living the vessel life of now being an attorney, but also being a musician, and just showing what that journey is like to truly be used and not be tied to the things that you do, but be able to be a servant in reality, so that you can be used in multiple arenas and truly be a light in whatever space that you're placed in.
Okay. Man, you got those answers for us.
Hold on.
Yeah, we're just being educated and informed at everything you say, huh?
I mean, you got a question, I know, but hold on, man. This girl down there. I mean, she's talking about throwing in all kinds of. Oh my God! Hold on, man. This is a lot to be able to accept, and she sounds like she's like been on this earth like before.
Maybe, probably a few times. Not important.
That's a lot of spirit you have, like a spiritual. Are you more like a spiritual person? You believe everything is
yeah, I am truly a spirit. Yeah, I am a spirit navigating the human experience. I am deeply spiritual, connected to the source, and truly just here to serve. Whatever God's agenda is for me, that's what I seek out. And so, yeah, deeply spiritual, and I find it to be my entire existence and reason for being is to be a spirit led by the spirit.
Okay. Have you ever had to incorporate your lawyer's skills in the job in your previous MAHONEMADE business?
That is a good question. Yes, I have had to incorporate it in the process of incorporating it. There are things like trademarks and copyrights and like intellectual property law, which, I've taken courses on that, and that kind of information is readily accessible to me as an attorney. But those are things that I'm grateful to have the knowledge to be able to do, because wanting to make sure that we protect ourselves on the intellectual property front as we're now in our foundational period. We actually just had our first event for MAHONEMADE, which was during Juneteenth. And at that point we knew, okay, we need to truly take this serious and truly do what we need to do. So in this season now, it's been a lot of me going into my attorney bag and really trying to find ways to, first of all, protect the business, but also make sure that I'm using the wisdom and knowledge that I've gained from law school to truly bolster the company as we're in our foundational period. So definitely, yes.
Okay. There's one more other thing that you had said I want to kind of dig into. Now, you said you had a past history of broadcasting and radio.
Yes.
Now tell us about that, because I see why you speak so well. You're just so comfortable.
Yes. So that is my background. I was a messenger. So if you really look at it, all of these things are one and the same. And that's what I had to realize. Like, we are in the world where people want to put you in a box, and they want to say, well, do you do this or do you do that? Or do you do this and do you do that? But if you look at all the things that I say I do, they're all one thing. It's just being a messenger. And so my background is in broadcast. So I started doing broadcast journalism in 7th grade. I went to a school in San Diego called the Creative Performing Media Arts Middle School. And in that school, I learned video production. I learned how to edit my own content. We did broadcast. I was a lead anchor in our broadcast class, and we did the school news. And from there, I did the school news in high school. Then I went to college, and I was a part of our college radio show. I had 2 radio shows in college. I also worked for an NPR affiliate, Hearsay with Kathy Lewis was the show I was actually the intern on. And so I went to school in undergrad for communications with an emphasis in media studies and a minor in marketing. And so that's what I was geared up to do. That's what I was supposed to do. And so what I realized now, as the full circle turns, I realize like I still do those things. So in me creating content, I'm still utilizing those gifts. There will be times where I'll be an analyst on the news in the future. I see that for myself in the distant future, whether I'm reporting on legal issues that are happening or I'm just have my own talk show. But that is where my background started. And so I'm still utilizing those same skills. Those skills that I gained in broadcast are skills that help me in the courtroom. I'm in court at least 4 times a week. And in that, I have the confidence to stand in front of a judge. I have the confidence to stand in front of my peers or stand in front of a jury because of training that I've had as a broadcast journalist. And so, yeah, that's what my background is. And I had a few radio shows, so I love music. It's kind of like it all comes together, whether I'm singing a song or rapping a rap or writing a poem, it's all messaging. If I'm advocating for someone, it's all messaging and just being used as a vessel to deliver whatever message needs to be delivered in whatever arena I'm in. So it's really one job just in multiple silos, but it could seem like it's like this girl's all over the place. And it's like, no, I just know my place and I know what my assignment is, and it is to be used. And my gift is words. And so words are what God has given me, and we use it in whatever way is necessary.
Okay. Yeah. So man, so you said musician, and so you do so you play an instrument and you have the lyrics?
So here's the reality. I don't play an instrument. I have a guitar in my room and I practice every now and then. So when I say musician, that's like a colloquial term. I'm an artist. I rap, I sing, and I'm in the process of learning how to make beats. But maybe next time I talk to you guys, I'll be a great guitar player. I won't box myself out of that, but I don't presently play an instrument to my detriment.
Learning how to play is still playing, you know. I mean,
yes, and I am in this season doing a lot of artist development. So that might be a thing that comes up in artist development where I need to pick up a guitar and get good at doing the strings. And I see that for myself, but I've never, at this juncture in my life, I have not played any instruments. Not well anyway.
Well, you know, we getting better. That's what we're doing. We're polishing and making ourselves better.
Yep.
So let me ask you, do you ever incorporate your talent as an artist in your content on your YouTube, right? Is there any other thing on YouTube? And then do you ever incorporate those two as far as like when you go to this was your very first vendor event, was June 15th?
Yes, that was that was our very first vendor event. And prior to that, for about 5 months, we had been taking orders. So we have been like, good news travels fast. So it's like my mom started serving a few people, and from there they spread the word. So it's like we had like our regular customers who were calling to place orders for cookies, for cakes, for desserts. And so it was like really great. Like so many people were reaching out and us especially delivering orders to them. But our very first time of setting up shop and truly just taking the risk of bringing all of the baked goods out and selling them was on Juneteenth. And by the grace of God, we sold out, and it was just truly confirmation that we're on the right track. And so it really put like a fire under us to really begin to take things
more serious about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And I think that's a testament to the fact that like taking a chance on yourself, because even in the act of me like really feeling like I was used to speak life into my mom to like say like, let's take a chance on ourselves, I'm also realizing that I too have to take a chance on myself and like believe in the things that I wanted to do from the outset. Like I knew during my sabbatical time, I wanted to leave my sabbatical season having started the family business. And so even the fact that I felt like we needed to wait to see if people would actually order for us to really like take things seriously, I don't recommend that. I believe that if God has given you a vision or given you a desire, to truly seek it out and do the work. And so I'm very grateful that we have done the work and that we do now feel like affirmed in our quest to really take things to the next level. But I do recommend anybody, if you're in a space where there's something that you desire to do, whether it's a business thing or a hobby or a career or relational thing, what have you, just be okay with taking a chance. The worst thing that can happen is nothing. So
Okay. Do you actually cook too, right? So your mom makes the stuff. Do you make stuff? Do you actually, do hands on with the ingredients in the cooking, right?
yes, I'm smiling like this because well, I'm a sous chef. Now, I'm nothing like my mom. I'm going to be honest. That's her God-given gift. But yes, I definitely do help as well. I help with packaging. I help with making the orders. It's definitely needing to now be a very hands-on business, all hands on deck because of how many orders we have been making now. So yes, I do cook as well. So that's another great thing that we can add to the list of things that I can do. I'm an excellent cook. So if
Okay.
anybody's curious.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you this question, but I had to ask you if you actually cook first. Let me see. So
Yep,
so
I'm
how do
ready.
you handle the pressure and the stress of working in a in the food vending business?
That's a good question. I really try to view it as I really don't, and this might sound cliche, but I don't really do the stress thing. And I think primarily because I know that it's designed to like deter me or distract me. And so I try to just view it as, first of all, when things are challenging and it's a lot of things going on, like I treat it like a video game and I just kind of have fun with the process of, okay, we need to package all these orders before 12 o'clock so that we can send them out. Like just viewing it as this is fun. This is something that we prayed for. And so I really try not to be a victim of the blessings that come. Like a lot of orders, that's a blessing because that's what we wanted. And so I try not to get stressed or overwhelmed and really just try to view things from a different lens and just say like, it's a blessing. And so I think just really just a perspective change is how I deal with stress. In all avenues in reality, because I am in a lot of high stress situations, and I've noticed and I've witnessed that there are many people who are in positions like me who do struggle or suffer with stress, and the implications of that are not good. So I always have made it my mission to steer clear from high stress situations or situations where people want me to be overwhelmed because they think that you'll get better results from that, because in reality you don't. So I try to just keep it player. That's like one of my sayings. I say I just like to keep it player and not stress out about things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and I'm going to pass it to Keith right here. That now I keep looking at your name. Do people get you guys mixed up with the Mahone name is being with the football player?
I don't know. Let me tell you what, I don't know
Is that why
anything
you
about
be selling out?
I don't know anything about the football player. Part of my ignorance. I'm not a sports watcher too much. So I don't even know what's the person's name, their first name?
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, see, I don't know Patrick, but shout out to my guy. Family.
Yeah, I was because I was just thinking, I was like, okay, well, you be selling out. Maybe they think it's you're leading up to
Look,
him,
we
as
got
the best
we
player.
not trying to chase no clout though. I want us to build our own good name. But if Patrick ever wants to place an order, my cousin give us a call.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I mean,
Yeah.
so much you said so far that is just it's so great. Your attitude, your smile, everything that you're doing, and the way you're talking about how you're a vessel to different things, and you see your role. So when you know your role, it's a lot easier to perform because you don't have to worry about all these other things. So tell me a defining moment that you ran across, not only in the business of working with your mom, but also in the business of being able to be a litigator. What are some of the defining moments in those areas that you can talk about?
That's a really good question. Um, I would say defining moments for me was, I think, passing the bar exam. And that is like the culmination of all the work that I put in. And so what was so interesting about my bar prep experience is that I prepared for the bar exam during COVID. And so it was a very non-traditional bar exam. it was delayed and pushed back so many times. And my approach was also very non-traditional because I knew that this was something that I was called to do and not something that I necessarily called myself to. So I spent a lot of time during that season truly trusting God. I focused on scripture more than I was focused on the text. And it was to the point where my family was so worried that I wouldn't pass the bar exam because of what my focus was on. But I truly had faith in a higher power, and I knew that I was called to do something. And so when I finally got my my pass notice, and I realized that I passed the exam, it was just a very defining moment, because it just showed that, first of all, like, I am here for a reason. I was called here for a reason. At that time, I had already secured my first job as an attorney. I was working at a great firm. It was actually the Cochran firm, so Johnny Cochran's firm that he set in, the firm that he founded. And so it was just an honor that there were people who saw something in me to, first of all, even give me that opportunity to work for that firm, but then that I was able to truly have faith in God and go through that process of preparing for the bar exam. As non-traditional as it was like I did the work from the outset. So the fruits of my labor finally manifested, and I knew I was called to be an attorney, and I was in the right place. And so I think that it was just very defining, because it was like a culmination of all the work that I had been through, from me documenting my first day of law school to my very last day, me going through that tumultuous bar prep process during COVID and not really knowing what the state of the world was going to be, to finally now being an attorney post-COVID, and now truly being used to advocate for my clients and really seek justice for those who truly needed it. And I was predominantly doing civil rights and personal injury, so doing a lot of cases where people who were wronged during protests, or people who were wrongfully killed by police. And it was just a moment to see, like, I was truly called to do this. And so I think that that was very defining, a defining season. And I used that to realize that that's the case all throughout my life. So whether it's me with music, where there are these little moments that might not seem so big at the time, but in the end, they culminate to this big opportunity or to this great song that I made. It's just honestly the act of enjoying the journey. And when you finally begin to see the fruits of your labor, it really defines the moment, but it also clarifies that you are on the right track and you're doing what you were called to do.
Also have that defining moment in your working with your mom and
Mhm.
making foods and desserts and things that you do. Do you have something that you can equate to that?
Yes, I would say we celebrated in September. We celebrated a memorial for my mom's father, Robert Mahone. And this was September of 2023. And so we celebrated his life. And in that moment, my mom baked a bunch of her homemade baked goods. And we had family come over, and we just celebrated his life and celebrated his legacy. And I helped my mom just prepare for that day. I knew it was a sorrowful time for her because it's the act of her remembering her father. But I think that that was a moment that truly, like, pushed our business forward, and it really caused us to start actually placing orders for other people, because we were able to see that there was already a legacy that was already set, and we're just needing to blaze our own path, but also remember those who came before us. And so in that moment, as we honored his legacy, my ability to, first of all, just talk with my mom about how he taught her how to cook, and how he would be so proud to see the desserts and things that she makes and how much everybody loves them and enjoys them. I think that that was like a culminating moment for us to see, like, we are really supposed to be doing this. We were supposed to be doing this as a family from the beginning. And in that time, I learned about even my mom's mom, that she used to have a restaurant. I never knew about that before that day. And so it was just like this big aha moment to see, like, this thing is already in our DNA. It's already in our family. So it's just our job to see it through, and truly have faith in those who came before us, but also have faith in the source, and know that we can and will do what we need to do. So I think that that was like a big aha moment that has now pushed us to where we are now, following Juneteenth, to see, like, this full circle moment. Like, we were supposed to be doing this, so let's just stay the course.
Wow, that goes right into my next question I want to ask you how do you see generational wealth? How do you see that working in our community? Because what you're talking about with your family and what you learned through your mom and her dad and all of that, the generational wealth is missing in our community. I know you being a lawyer and all. How do you see that? What are some of the things that you wish we can do and how do you see it working with your family? How important is that?
That's a great question. So the word says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. And so when I think of wealth, I think of it as a full scale thing. I think about it more than just monetarily. I think of it as wisdom, passing down generational blessings versus passing down generational curses. And so as I see in my family, I think it takes a few light bearers, a few people who were sent to recognize what went right and recognize what went wrong, and for people to separate from pride and separate from ego and realize that it's bigger than us. And when we can get outside of ourselves, we can truly be, first of all, vessels, but also receive what is owed to us. I think it takes, first of all, us knowing like we don't know everything. And it may seem as though we are at a disadvantage, especially when we compare ourselves to counterparts who have had landslides of wealth that they've accumulated while we were enslaved. But the reality is, I truly believe that when we come together and we have faith and we also believe in the importance of unity and believe in the importance of family, that wealth will be a byproduct of our collaboration, of our coming togetherness. And so I truly believe that the lack of knowledge is something that is present in prevailing in the Black community and minority communities, but I'm going to say the Black community because that's my community. And in that, it's okay. You don't have to know everything, but it's important to know what you don't know. And it's also important to step outside of yourself. I think that because it seems like we are at a disadvantage, it causes many of us to be very individualistic. And you're not going to get wealth by yourself. It takes a community. It takes a family, and those who we are trying to model things after, it was families who were building this wealth. And so when you get outside of your ego and you get outside your pride, you're able to collaborate with your cousin who you might not like that much, but you know that you guys both can come together and build something that's prosperous. And you'll come together with your uncle and your aunt, and you guys will come together and bring forth what it is that what you're great at, what they're great at, and make it fruitful. But I think that so long as we operate from an individualistic headspace and believe that if it's not me, then it's nobody, like, or a crabs in the barrel mindset, for lack of a better word, we as the people cannot win. We have to realize that we're better together. And I think that is what is important for generational wealth. You will not have generational wealth operating from an individualistic standpoint. So it's about unity, community.
Wow, that is such a powerful statement coming from someone, with your background,
Community.
Your youth as well. And so what I want to drive, and hope you can help me drive home, is what do we say to our youth? What do we say to the people that maybe you are not in a little bit you've seen in the criminal justice system, the educational, part about civil rights, and some of those, both of those things, it require knowledge and understanding so that you can be able to, better be able to protect yourself, or better be able to understand what your rights are. So talk to me a little bit about how you see the youth, and what, people that, are looking at you, that you're young and you're able to accomplish these things, and also have a good understanding with your mom. How do you see the youth, and what do you think that they can learn from your experience?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say one of the best things that I would tell anybody is to stop looking out and look within. We are bombarded from every which way with so much, whether it's crazy music in the media or crazy TV shows or crazy things on TikTok or on social media. And we're inundated with all of these things that begin to frame our subconscious, that begins to frame our reality. And I think that when you take some time to disconnect so that you can reconnect, you will find that you know a lot more than you think you know. A lot of us operate from a place of pride because, first of all, we don't want to admit that we might not know something. And for me, I love to be able to say, oh, I was wrong about that, or oh, I don't really know too much about that. Like I love to be able to say that, because there were times in my life where I would hate to even be perceived as not knowing something. Like, what does it look like me not knowing? Like, I'm very smart, I should know. But no, that comes from a place of pride. And when you operate with that type of pride, you're not able to receive true wisdom. You're not able to receive true knowledge. And so the sources that we consume are really causing a lot of us to live a reality that is not prosperous. And so I would say really going within and truly finding what are you here for? What brings you peace? What brings you joy? And when I say going within, I also mean not trying to convey an image, because that's another issue that is plaguing my generation and the generations under me and even above me is the desire to show wealth versus acquire it, the desire to show a lavish life versus truly obtaining it. And so truly understanding, like, we're not living for the optics. Live in truth, live in spirit, and live in truth. Do that, you won't have to feel less than, because you won't be less than. You will be greater than, because you know that there's a greater source that's within you. And so I would say truly disconnecting. It's okay to partake in social media every now and then. We all do it. I'm a content creator. But I would say you must be very careful about what you allow into your spirit, because I think that's causing a lot of people to disconnect from their true realities and not even know what their realities are, as a result of being bogged down by all of these different voices that are not speaking any good in reality.
You know, you're absolutely right, and I just think there's so much you have to offer to our listeners that we're just going to make sure that we definitely take advantage of that and going forward. But I'd like to ask you something regarding business. You know, what are some risks that you can say that, you know, small business have, you know, because you're putting your money out, you're putting your mom out there. Talk about the risk and entrepreneurship and the benefits of it.
That's a great question. I think the risks are endless. I think that we could think of every possible thing that can go wrong. Like there is the risk. In reality, the risk outweigh the benefits when it comes to starting a business. That's why it's such a risk, because the risk outweigh the benefits. The risks are financial risk, emotional risk, spiritual risk. You're subjecting yourself to these different agencies, having to fill out paperwork with this company, with this bureau, having to pay this fee for insurance for the day, having to pay this, and you don't know what's going to come out of it. So it's a very much so a high risk situation. And so you have to understand what your why is. When your why outweighs the why not, you're going to be okay. But when you don't necessarily know why you're doing something, if you're doing a business because everybody's starting a business and it seems like it's a good idea, it's not a good idea. That's the reality. It's not a good idea if you don't have a true why that's going to keep you grounded and keep you rooted, because the risks are just far too excessive. It is a very risky situation. With that being said, being called to do something, you know you're supposed to do it regardless of what the risks are. You are going to be the vessel to see it through, to make sure that it becomes what it's supposed to be. But there are so many risks. There are risks on the legal front. You risk the possibility of people trying to compete or stealing your recipes. Like the risks are endless. And so your why has to be truly at the core of what you do, and it has to be something that is outside of you. And that is what I love about MAHONEMADE, is the why is so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than my mom. It's about our family truly coming together and fostering a legacy as we should have a long time ago. It's about us really setting a standard for our family and sharing a gift that God has blessed our family with the world. And so our why will always outweigh the why nots, but there will always be a bunch of risks. So just bear that in mind with anything that you are seeking to do. But the risk shouldn't stop you if you're called to do it.
Wow. Because
Man.
you know,
Yeah, are you a motivational speaker too?
Yeah, I used to be. And a life coach.
Okay.
I used to do that too. But it's all one thing. I don't want it to look like I do too much. It's all one thing. But yes, I do some speaking.
You know what gave it away? I'm gonna tell you what gave it away, because I wrote it down. It's called, when you mentioned the why. Know your why. That is an absolute motivational. You know, you need to, people that are in business or doing something. That is how people get you to understand what your powerful point. You need to know why to know your
Yes,
why. If you know your
absolutely.
why, you know everything. You know why you're doing it. You know what you're doing, and you got the whole plan. Man, that's what I was like. Man, something's going on. Let me ask you this. We'll pass it over to Razak. He's burning a hole in his brain to ask you some questions right now. And I will give him this one.
I'm just writing down stuff.
You know, the other thing is that we always know when we start something like a business or something like that, not everybody ride with us. Have you met people or have people in your community, your family and friends that know you're in the business just like they know you're a lawyer? Oh, girl, what you doing? You going to law school? I don't know. That's so hard. I don't know why you're doing it. How do you deal with that negativity and those that didn't ride with you, did you let them? You left them on the shore, or what did you do?
That is a good question. Let me tell you what, that is such a good question, because that is something that is always like lurking in the background of any endeavor that I take, especially when it comes to things like music, or even when I was studying to become an attorney, things that seem like, whoa, like a lot of people don't do that, or whoa, a lot of people do that with music. And it's like, that feeling will often have you feeling like, dang, like, am I not good enough? Do you guys not believe in me? Do you not see the vision? Even when it comes to my mom's business, there were some people in our family who's like, oh, how's your little business going? Like things like that, where it's just like, hater. But you have to disconnect and realize those things are designed to detract you, but it pushes you forward if you let it. You cannot let those things keep you from doing what you were called to do or what you desire to do, because those things will have you questioning if you're doing the right thing. It'll have you feeling like a fear of being perceived. And I've experienced those things all throughout life, just like people wanting to give those kind of comments. But what you have to realize is those people are not coming from a place of they necessarily hate you. A lot of times it's that they don't see themselves as worthy. And so when they see somebody who's willing to take a chance on themselves, who's willing to fail, who's willing to get back up and try again, it almost makes them shine a light on themselves and realize that they are deficient in ways that they have yet to address. And so when I had to change my reality and realize it's not about me. You're not my hater. You might hate your circumstances. You might hate your situation, but you don't hate me. All you can do is see the light in me, because I'm doing what most won't. And when you do what most won't, you will obtain what most don't have. So you have to stay the course. And in that infancy stage, and it's like these people are watching you post these things and they're not liking it, but it's like, but I know you've seen it. You go on it, they're liking celebrity stuff. They don't like your stuff. And it's like, but you're my friend. Why are you not supporting me? They're not your audience. Everybody who knows you is not your audience. You are called to speak to a certain demographic. God has called you to speak to a certain people. And when you recognize that, everybody don't have to like you. They don't have to support you. They're not your target audience. But you don't stop what you were called to do just because the people who are in your immediate circumference are not your target audience. You keep going until you reach those who are connected to your voice, or connected to your mission, or connected to your assignment. And so you just can't let that derail you. You have to use that as evidence that you are on the right track, because that is what that is.
Okay.
Razak, go ahead, man. Take it from here, man. Because if I say something, I'm gonna talk too long. Go ahead. It's on you.
Nah.
I'm gonna shut up because my.
She letting you have it, huh? Oh man, yeah. You are you're definitely unique in answering the questions, and as a guest, you're very well spoken. You're determined. I like what I'm hearing. And you fit right on in with the podcast. You know what I mean, and how we're, we probably don't articulate it so much in our interviews, but I have there's a lot of stuff that we have written out geared towards, in alignment of how you're talking about the community and stuff like that, so but our questions are not always so geared towards getting into too much of I guess I could only use like a political or stuff like that type of question. Well, not necessarily, because I'm about to ask you some stuff. Let me see. Can you discuss a time when you had to confront racism or discrimination in your personal or professional life?
That is a good question. So I think I have a different take. This might be controversial, but I'm fine with controversy. I might have a different take when it comes to racism or any type of discrimination, because I mentioned previously about the act of people projecting. So your inability to recognize the greatness that is me is because you don't feel like you are great in yourself. And so as a young Black attorney, I mean, I'm in what, 3%, 5%. It's a very small it's a minority group. And so from the outset, it's like whether I'm dealing with opposing counsel who might not see or might not feel as though I'm worthy to be going against them, or I'm dealing in a courtroom where there are people who are looking at me like, why is she here? I I can see those things, but I don't internalize those things. So nobody who is less than me will ever make me feel less than. And you are less than me if you're racist. You're less than me. You're less than me if you're discriminating against me because of how I look. I'm beautiful. Why would you discriminate against that? So anybody who's less than me, you can't make me feel less than. When you are operating from hate, that's what racism is. That's hate. When you're operating from hate, the hate of another person because they are unlike you, or the desire to want to cage another person or diminish the light of another person because they are unlike you or they are dissimilar to you in some way, you're beneath me. You're already operating from a very low plane. You can't reach me. And so I don't internalize those things. And I implore any person who's called to this profession or called to be a vessel in any avenue to bear that in mind, because those things are often used to hinder you, often used to block you and think like, well, they don't like me. They don't have to. You don't have to like me. I'm still going to do what I was called to do. And I'm still going to be set apart. I'm still going to shine. I'm not diminishing any light because you don't like it. Put some glasses on. I'm going to shine bright whether you like it or not. And so a racist can't stop me. So I don't internalize it, to be honest. You cannot stop what God has for me. You cannot get in the way. Systematically, we're going to find a way. You can't stop me. And so I always bear that in mind. I'm not anybody's victim. I'm victorious. And so I walk with my head held high, and I know that there's not a person who's better than me at all. You're not better than me. You're different than me. You're not better than me. And so I belong in every room that I step in. And so I know that. And so no amount of racism, sexism, discrimination, or any ism is going to stop me from being the light that I am. So.
Okay. All right. That's a damn good answer. Okay. We're ready to start marching behind you right now. Let's go protest. Let's make sure they know.
I'm gonna get me harder too.
Let's go, Mark.
Let's go, Mark. You march your head.
They say there's a strong black woman behind every man. What about in front of the man? You lead the way. We making sure we got your back.
You guys are leading the way. I truly believe the men should lead. Believe me, you guys are leading the way. This is your platform. You guys are doing great, and it's truly an honor to speak with you guys. I'm behind you, but I am marching.
Can you share a role model or a mentor who has influenced your journey so far, and as far as your content in your business and with your being an attorney?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a very probably non-traditional answer, because I've honestly been asked something similar to this before, and I will say I am a very big studier of the Word of God. I love the Bible, and in that I have fallen in love with the Old Testament and the New Testament, but primarily the Old Testament and different prophets in the Old Testament. And so I noticed that there are different gifts that I have that are similar to people in the Word of God, and I see how God has used them and how that shows up in my own life. And so there's not anybody in this carnal world who I look to and I say, I want to be like that when I grow up, because I've never seen anybody do what God has called me to do. But I have seen even the Messiah live a life that is very dissimilar to those who were around him. And so I do view my life as ministry. And so I think that is what I really try to model my life after. There's a saying of like, what would Jesus do? Like you don't have to ask, because it's in the Word. And so whether I'm modeling myself after someone like David or Solomon or Nehemiah or Ezra or Jesus, I am always trying to find the similarities in how God is moving in my life and how God has moved in the lives of the prophets. And so I would say my ministry, I'm really trying to create a Jesus-like ministry where I'm using my gifts. Jesus spoke in parables. That's rap. Where I'm using music. He also sought justice. Solomon sought justice. He sought justice. So I'm using these different things that people in the Bible use. Deborah or Deborah, how you just pronounce it. She sought justice. She was a prophetess who sought justice. Hannah was a woman in the Bible who sought God, and all that she did, she prayed. And so I'm always prayerful in the things that I do. Esther was a queen who rose to prominence. So when God places me in rooms, I move like a queen. And so I model it after those who I feel as though I want to be like. And those are people who I want to be like. So those are traditionally my role models. I seek scripture to find the similarities that are already within me. And so that helps me to go within. In terms of in the world and on the world stage, I just am encouraged and inspired by anybody who's taking the risk on themselves and doing whatever it is that they feel that they were called to do. I mean, that always inspires me. But in terms of actually people who I can intimately point to and say, I'm watching their lives and I'm seeing their stories unfold, it's always going to be from a biblical space.
Okay. Yeah, you went you got deep on us right there. You know, that's
We're gonna take that every now and then.
yeah, but I'm thinking like, you know, you was dead on because, you know, everything you're doing right now is in the Bible, you know what I mean? You're kind of like doing what 1,000 people say that they're striving to be is, you know what I mean, and like Jesus and follow the Bible, but you're actually putting that into the aspects of, you know, getting jobs and putting your place in positions to where you can actually do those actual things that you're reading in the Bible in your belief system and stuff like that. Yeah. Going back to what we're doing right now, how do you think the Black community can better support and uplift each other?
That is a really good question. One of the biggest issues and things that hurt my heart the most as it pertains to my community is the divide between the man and the woman. I truly am like saddened, like it's even emotional for me to think about, but I think that is the biggest issue. And that's whether it be propaganda, whether it be puppets that were placed in the media to sow discord, or whether it be talking heads who are rising up and speaking these regurgitated talking points that are further divisive. I would just say the divide between the Black man and the Black woman is the biggest issue, because when we come together as one, there will be nothing that can stop us. And so I think that the act of us ingesting all of this content and all of this media of Black men not wanting to be with Black women, or Black women wanting to divest and get away from Black men. If you choose to love who you want to love, choose to love who you want to love. But when you disparage our people, we are one. We are one. No matter how you try to slice it, we are the only people who feel like that's not the case, who feel as though we are dissimilar. We are one. The Black man and the Black woman are one. Eve was called woman because she was taken out of man, a Black man, to be clear. And so with that in mind, we have to get back to first love. We have to recognize that we cannot continue to live out this hate that we have, or even to believe in this discord that's sown. We have to have enough wisdom to recognize there's a reason why people don't want us together. There's a reason why people don't want us to be united. There's a reason why people want us to hate our Black men, or want Black men to hate their Black women. There is a reason for that. And so we have to have enough insight and sit high enough to be able to spot out the nonsense and say, this is propaganda. This is not truth. Majority of Black men are with Black women. Black families are stronger than ever. Like really being able to look to the statistics and really being able to look within and recognize that a lot of times our hate for the other side is more so our own internalized hate for our own self. So first of all, self-love is vital, because when we love ourselves, we will realize that we are one. And so I think that is the biggest issue. And I feel like that is, when we can get that together, we will be unstoppable. Additionally, one more thing, seeking God in truth, and truly not seeking all of these outside things outside of us, and really realizing that it's written on our heart. The word is written on our heart. We are truly gifts to this earth. And if we don't recognize it, nobody's going to tell us that.
Woo. Woo. I'm trying to be quiet, but I'm over here. I'm keeping my mute button, man. You know, she's trying to tell you something, brother, over there. She's trying to tell you something. She'd already told me. Now she's trying to tell you what's going on over there, man. Goodness.
What's that mean? Anyway, infiltrate the infantry, coming for everything meant for me. I don't want no friends, I want enemies. Infiltrate the infantry, coming for everything meant for me. I don't want no friends, I want enemies. Infiltrate the infantry, coming for everything meant for me. I ain't a killer, but don't tempt me, please. Back, you don't know me like that. Give me 50 feet, 6'8", Ain't it nothing unless you under. I can't be put asunder. Y'all getting dumber and dumber. It seems. Secure the plunder, get the plunger. Hush these peasants, please. Unsettling. Infiltrate the infantry. Developmentally delayed in their infancy. Always missing the mark. Where do I start? Gun toting, not sequential. Combo holding fake woke. Music not sequential. What did you meant do? Did you mean to save me? I mean what I say. Pop queen ain't come to play. Trust me, I'ma let y'all dusty, but lucky you must be. God don't bless, no mess here to collect. Had a good run, see. Got the shine like the stars, y'all ain't. Infiltrate the infantry, pulled up in the tank. This is pitiful, believe. Say I'm a hater, skater, absolutely right. For once, you dunks. I hit the fiery lake, that's your fate. If you don't obey, you might cough it up or back to the dust. Infiltrate the infantry, coming for everything meant for me. I don't want no friends, I want enemies. Infiltrate the infantry, coming for everything meant for me. I don't want no friends, I want enemies. Infiltrate the infantry, TIMAIAH, how, kill them all, fight first to fall. Over here with the sniper at the Muppets and execs. I'm a rookie in the vet. What you expect? Competition? I don't see it. Your label execs better beat it. They job just up for grabs too. What you gon' do? Lack in wisdom, lose some, win some, lose them all against me. On the turf in court, I got my camo. You know hunting's a sport, so keep the combo short. Got the slaves and contracts that don't comport. Yet you can't tell me what's a tort. I do this for sport. Y'all pulling strings, buying strings. I got the beam, free the team, hear me. Hit the front line, troop to infiltrate the infantry like the queen of Sheba. Make a mother leave. Load up the